Hey everyone, welcome to Live Class. I'm Morgan Faliolo and I'm your host. And today we have our special guest with us, all the way from Redding, California, Josh Baldwin. Welcome, Josh.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming to This is your first one?
This is my first one.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to dive straight into it. We posted up stories on our Instagram and some fun facts about you. And I hear that you like basketball.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I like all, I mean, I love sports. I'm a
Yeah.
big sports guy. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like people ask like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, well, sports. I love sports, maybe more than music.
Really?
Yeah.
So you
I
like
say yes like that because I feel like sometimes it's too much and I need to like, okay, put it down and
mm,
like actually focus on this. But I do. I love sports. I love basketball. Play
come on.
basketball once a week at least.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
someone mentioned you played Ripper football or something like that.
I did
Flag football.
flag football. We
Mm,
well, I only really play that once a year.
yeah.
We do like a turkey bowl
Uh,
every year
hmm.
here and
Yeah.
it's right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just do that once a year. I'm not really
Yeah.
I'm too old to play football
Uh-huh.
regularly.
Yeah. To explain the turkey bowl for you, it's that is held once a year between two of our drummers. And do you want to elaborate on that a
Yeah,
bit?
it's well, like 5 years ago, our drummers, David Whitworth and Joe Volk, who are both NFL and football fanatics.
Mm,
They and they're both quarterbacks. They wanted to do a big turkey bowl game,
yeah.
and so they each every year they each pick teams, and then we all play, and then we actually have a trophy and everything. It's
Come
kind of a
on.
big deal. And then
Yeah.
we had a lot of people come this year.
Yeah. I saw that.
We should start selling tickets. We
We
could
should.
actually
We
raise
should. We
money for
could.
Worship You,
Come on.
the Worship You
Oh,
Turkey Bowl.
let's go.
Wow, that's not what this is about. Though.
But
Sorry.
who won it this year?
My team won. Joe won this year. Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah.
Come on. That's incredible.
I
So
like to think it was because of me, but it wasn't. But
I'm pretty sure it
that's what
was,
I
man.
told my kids.
Yeah, come on, man. Stories. Um, Another fun fact was someone we Joe Vogt posted it on his Instagram, but to shave the
Oh,
beard, but you
oh
haven't
yeah.
shaved your beard in say since 2004. Is that correct?
I haven't. Yes, so I grew it in 2004,
Yeah.
and I haven't really shaved. I shaved it once, just kind of almost all the way off,
Yeah.
and it was after I'd gotten married. I'd been married for like a year to Sheila,
Wow.
and I she was like, "No, grow it back." She didn't like it, so she didn't like my normal face. She wants hair on my face. So
Yeah.
yeah, I grew it back. And I haven't shaved it, yeah,
Wow.
in a long time.
That's a wow, man.
It's become my look now,
Yeah.
so I kind of have to keep it. But I
No,
would
that's
love
awesome.
to feel my actual face
Yeah.
again one day. It'd be
Oh,
nice.
mate. I'm just growing mine out, so I'm just
It
like,
looks great.
my
I
wife
love
doesn't
it.
like it though.
She doesn't.
I think it's a northern southern hemisphere thing.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna move on. So um we are here to talk about worship,
Yeah.
but um the one question I'd really want to do know is that I think it was on like yesterday's Instagram story. Uh, the fun fact was that you've been leading worship for 24 years.
Yeah.
So that technically makes you about 16 years old when you
Yes.
started
When I
leading
started,
worship.
yeah.
Could you
Which
tell us behind
means
that?
yes. I grew up, my dad's a pastor.
Yeah.
He also was into music and he
Mm,
was really like our worship pastor at our church too for a long time. And so
hmm.
I grew up playing drums real with him. I started playing drums in church when I was like 12.
Mm,
And so I was just always around worship, always around
yeah.
music. And then when I was like right around 16 was when I started. I was in my youth group
Mm,
and we didn't have a worship leader in my youth group. We would just like play CDs or or probably cassette tapes back then. That's how old I am. And we just listened to those and worship. But
wow.
then my youth pastor came to me and he's like, I feel like you should be leading worship and just
Wow.
and you've
Mm,
been around it enough, you know enough. It's like I feel like you could do it. And I just started to play guitar a little bit. So
mhm.
I was 16 when I started just leading worship in my youth group.
Wow.
And it just
Mm,
kind of moved from there to I would jump in and lead worship
hmm.
at church, at big church with
Hmm.
my dad. And then finally I just kind of took over. My dad just gave it to me and he
Mm,
just um yeah, turned me loose. And then I've been
come
doing it ever
on.
since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and then I heard that you were at Morningstar, and you're originally from North Carolina.
From, yeah, right outside of Charlotte,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Oh
Yeah,
man, love Charlotte.
yeah, I
That's
love it.
it's a good
It
place.
is good. It's good.
Um,
I love the South.
so you and the family are now living here in Redding, California.
Yeah,
You've been living here for
for 4.5 years. Yeah,
okay, and so the transition from North Carolina to Redding, like, could you tell us about
yeah,
that? Like, what was it that made you move your whole family to
yeah.
Redding, California?
Well, so I met. I mean, it's kind of long. Well, it's not like super long. I can shorten it.
You're good,
I
man.
I had been friends, and I met Brian and Jen
Mm,
years before, like maybe 2007 when I met them, and I
mhm,
was in Charlotte and a ministry there, and they would come there and lead worship some, at conferences that we would have. So I would lead with them here and there at
mm,
different conferences, and then and our pastors were close with Bill and Bill Johnson here,
mhm,
and some of the other pastors and leaders here. So I'd had a relationship with
mm,
people here at Bethel for years, and then in 2014, so 5 years ago, I they asked me, Brian and Jen and Joel Taylor asked if I wanted to be a part of Bethel Music,
mm,
but stay in Charlotte.
mhm,
So kind of just keep doing my
mhm,
being a worship pastor at our little church in Charlotte, but
mhm,
stay with Bethel Music. So we said yes, and so we did that, and it was a great, and it was amazing for a year, and I was kind of doing both, and the whole time I felt like, um well, I would say I felt like my wife really felt like we were supposed
mhm.
to move, and
Wow.
as my wife's kind of like the Holy Spirit hovering through our house, telling,
Mhm. Yeah.
pointing the way. A lot
Come
of
on.
direction comes
Oh,
from
that's
our
real.
wives, and
Mhm,
um so it was like a year of like having dreams and words and
mhm,
random things happen that were kind of pointing towards, you should just move to Reading. And so then finally, after a year of doing both Charlotte and Reading at the same time, we decided to move. And
wow.
it was great, and we love our church back home in Charlotte were
Mhm,
amazing and so supportive, and it was just the easiest transition that I
mhm.
could have like prayed and hoped for. It's been great. We still are real close with our friends there, and
Wow.
but love
Yeah.
being here and being a part. Being a part. We love Bethel Music, but
Mhm.
we moved here
Yeah.
for Bethel Church. We
Mhm.
moved here to be a part of the community
Come
and
on.
everything going on.
That's
So
incredible. That's incredible.
it's been good.
So so in and of that, like you're now in the you're in the worship scene and you're releasing songs, you've written an album and just and you're currently working on one at the moment, but you just currently came off tour with Zach Williams.
Zach Williams,
And how was
yeah,
that?
that was awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I love Zach. We met a couple years ago at
Hmm.
a on a roadshow tour that Bethel Music did with Zach
Okay,
Williams
yeah.
and some other CCM artists,
Hmm.
and so it was cool. We hit it off great. We're both. I mean, he's like Southern guy. We cut from the same cloth kind of guys. I
Wow.
mean, he feels like a really cool big brother, and so we've just kept in relationship throughout the last couple years. And
Hmm.
then he asked me to, yeah, come on this tour with him this past fall, and
Hmm.
it was great. It was so cool.
That's awesome. That's
Oh,
incredible.
such an honor. Yeah.
That's cool. What was a highlight of that tour?
Playing at the Ryman Auditorium in
Really?
Nashville. Yeah, I'm even wearing my Ryman socks
Hey,
today. They give you
okay.
socks when you play there.
Really?
Yeah, or they at least did the day I was there. They had like a big bucket of Ryman
Oh,
socks, and they were just like backstage, and like, grab your socks. So
you made it. Come
I
on,
did.
Ryman,
So
man.
I wear
That's
them every day. No, I don't wear them every day. I'm just kidding. Yeah, playing there, the Ryman is
yeah.
like this legendary play. I mean, it actually started as a church that was built for
Mm,
a revival that was happening, and so it's called the Mother Church is what
yeah.
I call it. And
Wow.
then it turned, the Opry was done there for years. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that was the moment where I was like, what is happening? This is kind of unbelievable. I'm like leading worship pretty much in the Ryman. Like,
Come on,
so
man.
yeah.
That's incredible. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. So so with that together, putting that together, like you've led for 24 years
Yeah.
since, and you've been through it all. You've experienced the highs and the lows, and when it's just like okay, sweet.
Yeah.
But like, and then you're now in the tour. You've just come back from tour. You've done a whole bunch of tours too. You've released an album, but I want to know, like, how do you balance family and ministry? Like when you're
Mm,
on tour, like how do you keep the main thing,
yeah.
and then
Wow.
through that?
That's a good question. Um, I I think I think everybody has it's probably different for a
Mm,
lot of people,
yeah.
and but I'm very blessed to have an amazing wife,
Mm,
amazing family, and not just my wife, but like our families are both like my parents, her parents are both very grounded
yeah.
and just
Wow.
that help keep us grounded and help
Mm,
keep us normal in a
mm,
way. And so,
yeah.
I mean that in a good way. Like
Yeah, that's
I
good.
feel like it's all we're very passionate about community. We're
Mhm,
passionate about communicating with each other, and so we're always just uh, and whenever something comes up, where it's like a tour or just an event or anything, a
mm,
songwriting session with someone who whatever it is, we're always communicating back and forth. Like, is this something we should do? Is this Does this feel like the Lord? Is it going to be, does it
yeah,
come under the category of like what I feel like I'm called to do and what we feel
yeah,
like as a family we're called to, or is it going to pull away from our family? And just we're always talking about it, and
yeah.
we try to keep um family and just our community and our
Mhm,
local church like at the front,
yeah,
and and obviously the Lord,
yeah.
like in all of that, like
Mhm,
is all of that, is whatever opportunity it is
mm,
it going to pull away from this?
wow. Yeah,
And if it is, then we're not going to do it.
yeah.
And sometimes it's just like for a season with the tours this year that I was blessed to be on,
Mhm,
it was like they were a lot, and
mm,
it was like, okay, do we feel like we felt like there was a grace to
yeah.
do that this year, and like, okay,
Wow.
we're just going to go hard. We feel like the Lord's open up some doors in
Yeah,
this area, and we're going to go after it. And it was amazing. It was really tough at times. It
mm,
was like the hardest year and the best year all at the same time, we feel
mm,
like, for us as a family. And but I think what's helped us keep grounded is just communicating,
mm,
going. We do counseling a lot,
mhm,
pretty regularly,
yeah.
which that's a big thing around here,
That's real.
preached.
That's real.
I mean, our
Mhm,
leaders talk
mhm.
about that a lot.
Yep, they
Brian and
do.
Jen talk about a lot of our other leaders talk about just getting counsel, getting help,
Yep.
and not to like help, like when something's going wrong, to like get
Mm,
it to fix it, but to actually prevent and maintain.
mhm,
And so I think through all that, that's helped us keep balance and somewhat order in the middle of like some
yeah,
chaotic
yeah,
seasons in a good way.
yeah.
But
That's the I love that communication is key.
yeah,
Communication is key, but and even just the fact that you know what your core values are. You
yeah,
know what you value,
yeah,
and and then through that you're able to say no, yes. Based on
yeah.
that, you're actually able to navigate life with that.
It's so
And
important. I mean,
yeah.
I remember over the summer when things were, because I was on it's the during the spring I was on
Mm.
a tour with another for King and Country, another
Yeah, 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 that's right.
CCM band who are amazing,
Hmm.
and we that was like amazing, but it was also a lot, and I was gone a lot. And
Hmm.
so in the summer, I knew what was coming up with another tour coming, and so we just sat down and talked, me and Sheila, and then with some of our leaders, and I was like, okay, after this thing that I have in the
Mm.
middle of November, I'm not
Yeah,
going anywhere else
yeah.
until late January. And like we just
Wow.
like set aside, like,
Come on.
no matter what it is.
Yeah,
And then I got like it was like a week or two later, and which is so funny. I feel like this is what happens. It's like
yeah.
I got like these amazing opportunities that come up for
Mm.
December. It's like, can you do this? Can you do? It's
Wow.
like things I've wanted to
Wow.
do my whole. And then I'm
Yeah,
just like, okay, wait a minute. We talked, and this is what we felt like the Lord was saying for us as a family. So we just had to say no. And it
yeah.
felt there was such a freeing, it was amazing in those moments to have already communicated
Yeah.
with my wife and with our friends about what we wanted to do
Hmm.
and what we felt like we were supposed to do. And it was like, and because we vocalized it,
Yeah.
then when all these opportunities came up, it was like, okay, no, we've already said here. So it almost made me feel free to just be saying no and be okay with it, and know
Yeah.
that, like, all right, I feel like the Lord is behind my no
Come
right
on.
here. So
That's a good word, especially for
yeah,
now. I would say for nowadays, especially in the sense of that sometimes a no can be sometimes is taken as or interpreted as a hindrance to favor. But
yeah,
the thing is, the favor is really the hand of God on
yeah.
your life, and then you've seen that through.
Well, yeah, and I feel like so many times people are afraid to say no to things
Yeah,
because you feel like, oh, this is my one opportunity, or this is,
exactly.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
miss it, and someone else is gonna pass me. And
yeah,
then it comes back to that, like, why are we worried that the Lord doesn't have enough good things for all of it? I mean, like,
yeah.
if someone else, something
Mhm,
good happens to them, and
mhm.
then that means, oh, it can't happen to me. It's
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
so, and so yeah, I definitely feel that a lot too. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's good to know when it's like there's a season of life that I knew I was supposed to say yes to everything, just like,
Yep.
let's go.
Mhm,
I feel like there was like a 15 to 20-year span of my
mhm,
life where it was just like say yes
mhm.
to whatever.
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, leading in a home group, doing,
Mm,
just like, and and those times like built like the times now, built character
mhm.
to help me in these times now when it's like, okay,
Yeah,
what, there are some things to say yes to and are some things to say no to, and I have to
yeah,
like communicate with friends and family and to figure out what is the right thing. So
yeah. That's
it's good.
incredible. That's oh, my heart right now is just being personally moved, just even just being stirred, and that a no is just as powerful as a yes. It's as
Yeah.
just as obedient as a yes.
Yeah.
And so,
Good. Thank you.
yeah, thanks so much for that, man. I do want to prod on something that you've been acknowledged for it recently, songwriting.
Yeah.
Um, but Stand in Your Love was nominated for a Dove Award this
Yeah.
year. Could you tell us the story behind that? And even like before you do that, how did
Yeah.
that feel being nominated?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, I was nominated for an award and then it didn't win, but which is great.
Mm.
But and then I was nominated for New Artist of the Year, which
Hmm.
I joked about being maybe the oldest nominee for a new artist. I don't
Really?
know. I like to think I was. I don't know. I was a 40-year-old New Artist of the Year. I was in the dressing room. I shared a dressing room with the guy who won, Aaron Cole,
Yeah.
who's a really sweet guy, and he's like a hip hop R&B artist, and he's 20. Or actually, I remember I was sitting there, I was asking, I was like, Aaron, how old are you? He goes, I'm 20. I was like, awesome. And he's sitting with his dad,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm 40. And his dad goes, I'm 40. And I was like, awesome. I'm the same age as your father.
That's awesome.
But which, and he won. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable. I grew up watching the Double War. I
Yeah.
grew up a massive Christian music fan.
Yeah.
Stephen Curtis Chapman is my hero.
Hmm.
He was like the reason I wanted to play acoustic
Wow.
guitar and write
Mm.
songs, and he was there. I got to meet him. He actually introduced me
How was
when
that?
it was I just felt like I was like outside of myself, watching myself go through all the events and activities of the day, just like what is going on. And it was also like the 50th anniversary of the Devil Wars, so it was like really special for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They,
Hmm.
all the old artists came and were doing special things, so it was cool for me to see the people that I grew up listening to
Mm.
and being inspired by it be there. And yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it was happening,
Well,
really.
man. Well, even congratulations on being acknowledged and even
Thank you.
nominated, man.
Yeah,
Seriously, that's a huge deal,
that is, yeah, it really
especially being here in Reading and a population of 90,000. It's like you did it.
yeah.
You got nominated.
And
That's
I'm
incredible.
from a smaller town,
Uh,
Albemarle,
Really?
14,000 people. Yeah.
Amen. Glory
So,
to glory. Let's go.
yeah.
um, just even with because so the song that you were nominated for was
Yeah.
"Stand in Your Love." Could you tell us the story behind that?
Yeah. All behind the writing in it. So yeah, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So the, I hadn't really even, I was thinking about this earlier today
Hmm.
too. I think before I wrote that song, I hadn't written a song in a while because I just released or not long, maybe 6 months before that, I had released my album.
That's right.
So I was
Hmm.
just like, I was tired. I was like, okay, the album's out. I just want to sing these songs. I don't feel like creating or writing or anything. So
Hmm.
I wasn't even in like a vein of writing. I'm kind of like, I go in and out of seasons of like, now I feel like right now I'm kind of in a season of just writing and working on a new album. So
Yeah.
I'm in that season, but I don't just stay in that all year long like a lot of amazing people who could just,
Yeah.
or they're constantly writing, but that's not really me. But so I wasn't necessarily in a season like that. But then
Mm.
our friend and worship leader buddy Jeremy Riddle,
Uh-huh.
he was here, and he wrecked his son's dirt bike and broke his foot.
Yeah.
Was it leg?
So
Something.
I just remember cast on his
Yeah.
leg.
broke his
or
leg
moon boot.
and punctured a lung. It was like
Yeah.
pretty bad. He was in the hospital for
Yeah,
a little bit.
that's right. Yeah.
But so that happened like a couple months or a month before, and he had an event that he was
Mm,
doing in Dallas,
yeah.
and he was just going out by himself, but he was in on crutches, so he couldn't go by himself, and he also didn't know if he was even going to be able to sing a lot because he
Mm,
had just been recovering from the punctured lung. So he asked me if I'd come with him
wow.
and
Hmm.
just carry his stuff
Yeah.
and be his armor bearer and also just lead worship with him a little bit. And
Hmm.
so I did. I went to Dallas, and I remember I texted my friends down there, Rita Springer and Mark
Mm,
Harris, who are at Gateway Church down in Dallas. And I was like, hey, I'm coming to Dallas. I'll stay an extra day
mm,
if you guys want to hang out. Maybe we can ride or do something. So
mhm,
so that's the reason I was in Dallas, and I stayed an extra day, and I was riding with them, and then this guy I didn't know walked in the room. His name's Ethan Hulse,
mhm,
and when we were riding, he was like about to leave to catch a plane back to Nashville. He was a songwriter
mhm,
who had just come out for the day to write with some of the worship leaders there, and he was just saying bye to us, and he saw us, and he's like, "Hey, I just got this idea for a song that I don't. I just kind of, you might mind if I share it with you, and you can
mhm.
take it and do whatever you want with it." But and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that'd be great."
Yeah.
It was like 5 p.m. I think I was tired. I was been
Mhm,
riding all day, and I was just like, "Yeah, whatever, bring it in, let's go." And so he sat down and started playing the idea of the chorus of the my fear doesn't stand a chance, and we were all just blown away, like, what in the world, this is just that
mm,
whole concept was felt like there was something fresh on it that.
mm,
And so we sat down with him before he left to go to catch his flight,
mhm,
and we wrote the verses to it. And then I remember flying back home, and I got home and wrote the finished writing the bridge and led it
mhm,
at church, and it was just like, oh, this is special. This
mhm,
so it's such a cool. I love it because it showed me that even when I'm not feeling like I'm creative, or even in a
mm,
season of writing, or even and nothing like that was even on my radar. It just boom, the Lord like drops this
mhm.
moment in time and just like lights this fire under me to finish this song that ended up changing my life. And yeah, it's such a cool thing
Yeah.
the Lord did.
That's really cool. That's cool how it came from just something that it's often how songs are written, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Just an inspiration, and then you work on it, you chew on it, you mull over it, you pray over it, and then all of a sudden you come up with it. And I remember when you first sang that at church, and I heard
yeah,
it, and I was just like, it had that bop. I was like, hey, and I was like, I loved it, and I
yeah,
just, and even get for me getting to sing that on tour.
yeah. I love it when you lead
Oh,
it.
it
I
was,
remember telling you, I was like, dude, I have a song. You need to lead
yeah,
it. I want to hear you
dude.
sing it.
I love leading that
I
song,
love
man.
hearing
I was trying to put that sort of that Carolina twang in it,
it.
like my fear doesn't, but I'm trying, but we're getting there,
It
dude.
sounds
But
great. Yeah,
come on,
you should
man.
do it.
But thank you though. Thank you so much for writing that song. Like
Oh,
even the investment behind that,
yeah.
that you and those other like the writers put into it, and
Well,
even just
we actually need to thank Jeremy for breaking his leg. So I wouldn't
thanks,
have even been
Jeremy.
in Dallas. Thank you, Jeremy. He's all healed up
Thanks,
now.
Jeremy. Break a
That
leg.
was 2 years ago.
Come on, that's awesome. Based so on that, you've written "Stand Your Love." You've written a whole album. You've written other incredible songs, beautiful, inspirational, heart moving songs, and you're
Wow, thank you,
currently
Morgan.
up there. I love it. No, seriously, I love it. But even like you're currently writing one now, an
Yeah,
album right now. You're working on something right now.
yeah,
But I'd just like to know, like, what advice would you give to worship leaders? Because you have the wisdom of 24 years leading worship and
yeah,
increasing, you're growing in the wisdom, but also songwriters as well who are stepping into songwriting.
yeah.
Like you're a well of wisdom. Like what?
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's pretty broad like that, but I'd love to like. What would your advice
Yeah.
be to?
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I started late in the
Hmm.
game of writing. And I mean, I started writing when I was like 20, 21, but I wasn't like disciplined with it.
Mm,
I would kind of only write when I was feeling like inspired.
mm,
And so I think the thing that I've learned the most in the last like 4 or 5 years is I wish back then that I was more disciplined with just setting aside time to actually
Mm,
write and do and write until you're inspired in some ways. And
mm,
even there's plenty of days when I write and I don't feel anything. And then there's
mm,
some days when you're writing and you get something and like stand in your love
mm,
happens or something like that. So I know I feel like that's important to just set aside time
mhm.
and as a worship leader and to write songs for your church, if your local church,
Yeah,
and not.
come on.
I think so many, especially nowadays, it's so easy for worship leaders and worship pastors of a church to want to their church to be the next big worship movement in the world.
Mm,
Which is not. There's
mhm,
nothing wrong. Like that's not a bad thing,
mhm,
but it can become like so much of the thing that you just
mm.
real forget.
Yeah.
You're actually your actual job is to pastor the worship in your church and in
Mhm.
your local community,
Come on.
and pastor the songs that could come out of that
Mhm,
group,
mhm,
and just let them minister to your church, and then out of that let the Lord do whatever he wants to do.
mhm,
And I mean that's how Bethel music started. It was
mhm,
just Brian and Jen just writing songs for our church here,
mhm,
and then it just kind of grew into what it is. And that's I so I think I would my advice for worship leaders and worship pastors
mhm,
would be to just cultivate a community there in their
mm.
local church that is just
Come
a
on.
community of
Yeah,
songwriters, a
man.
community of worship leaders,
Yeah.
and let it be for your church and for your city,
Mhm,
for your state, and then whatever it becomes out of there, let the
mhm.
Lord like breathe on it. Because when you're writing songs that as you get better at writing songs and just honing that craft, and as the Lord's breathing, or as the Lord's like giving you things, I mean, he's
Mhm.
going to breathe on it, and
Yeah.
it's going to
Mm.
he'll take it as
Mhm.
far as it needs to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think there's so many times it's so easy to with social media too to like just try to make it happen yourself.
Yeah.
And I love what Bill says about that. Our pastor, he always talks about um, whatever you like. How does he say it? Whatever you like cultivate and and try to make happen in your own on your own, you're gonna have to like sustain it
Yeah.
and
That's right.
continue
Yeah.
it yourself. But
Mhm.
whatever the Lord promotes and breathes on, he will sustain.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I just try to think of that myself. I'm like, okay, am I
Mhm.
trying to do too much on my own power, and
Mm.
just do I need to like lay back and just okay, let the Lord like do this whenever
Mhm.
it's time, or promote this whenever it's time. So but that would be my advice.
Yeah. That's a good word. That's a really good word. That's a very I think it's a very timely word too.
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
timely word. Thank you. No, that's
Thank
great. No,
you.
thank you. We're gonna switch a little bit. We're
All
gonna go
right.
into some questions now. But before we have some questions that were sent in earlier via Instagram story. But if you are watching live right now, um, feel free to send in questions now so we can ask Josh. And so I'm going to start with our first questions that we received earlier. Our first question, I think you'll really enjoy this one.
Okay.
Um, I think you know this person well. Um, it's from Sheila Baldwin.
Oh my goodness. Sheila's watching.
Oh, she's watching. What's up, Sheila? Hi, Sheila.
Hey, babe.
Um, the question is, how did you land such an incredible wife?
Oh, wow. She knows. She knows. Just, do you want me to tell the world? I don't know, honestly. That is the grace of God on my life.
Come on.
I
Wow.
I spent my whole 20s looking for a wife, and yeah, it wasn't I didn't meet we didn't start dating until I was almost 30. And yeah, she I met oh gosh, if you could go into this for like this could be like an hour talk. Um I don't know how I got Sheila. She's 8 years younger than me. She's she's way out of my league. So it was definitely the Lord, because I'm an old man.
The jawline got
The
her.
yeah.
The jawline.
Uh-oh. Are we back on? So yes, my wife is amazing, and she actually she's a hairdresser. She was,
Hmm.
and she cut my hair, and then I just asked her for her number, and then we went to this. She was a part of the same church that I was in, and yeah, so that it kind of went from there.
Come
But
on, man. That's awesome.
she's amazing.
Oh yeah. We have another question from uh, J underscore J dot P underscore. And the question is, have you ever felt drained and found it hard to reconnect with God?
Yes, yes, of course. um, yeah, I feel like it's usually when I'm doing a lot and
Hmm.
traveling a lot, and you're maybe you're pouring out a lot, and then you just realize like, oh, I haven't just like replenished,
Hmm.
the thing, my spirit man inside, and so totally, I feel that. I've felt times where I'm just feel dry, like in just songwriting, and just
Hmm.
like I don't really know what to even say anymore. And there are just times that I need to just sometimes I just need to like not go anywhere, not do anything, but
Hmm.
then just, I mean, there's no secret to it. It's just
Mm.
I get in the word, spend time with the Lord, spend time with my family.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's just I need to like get in my truck and do normal things, and like,
Hmm.
or go on a drive and out by the lake and just spend time with the Lord, spend time outside.
Yeah.
Honestly, uh,
Hmm.
I totally feel that. It's very normal to feel that,
Yeah. That's
and there's
real.
nothing wrong with feeling that.
Oh,
It's
that's true. That's
just
true.
kind of addressing like where you are, and
Hmm.
to be aware
Hmm.
that's going on is like actually, I feel
Hmm.
like the way to stop it in some way, or the way to move on from it. So just be aware where you are. Like,
Hmm.
oh, this is what's happening.
Hmm.
So this is what I need to do. And then, okay,
Yep.
let's move on.
It's like Bill says, if you look for God in everything, you'll find him in anything.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
true.
and so it's just I think just some of the mundane things that or things that have become mundane or just
Yeah,
familiar. It's just
yeah.
finding God in and through
It's
that.
yeah. So many times you're like we're asking the Lord's presence to come, and it's somewhere. Sometimes it's more of just I just need to be aware of His
Exactly.
presence.
Hmm.
Like he's all around.
Hmm.
You can find him. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good word. Come on. All right. We have another question from net underscore tally underscore. Um, what's the best way to deal with burnout?
Burnout. Oh wow, this is a similar question, I guess. Um, Burnout. I mean, I think number one would be uh, talking to leaders about it too.
Hmm.
Um, Not being
True.
afraid to
Hmm.
just go to your leaders and say, "Hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm
Yeah.
feeling." And because sometimes I feel like there's probably worship leaders and worship pastors who are experiencing burnout, and
Hmm.
maybe they're scared to say something to their leaders because they're
Hmm.
thinking, "Are am I going to be in trouble? Am I going to lose my job? Am I
Yeah.
going to lose this? Or am I?" And so I think number one would be to actually go to your leadership and talk about
That's
it,
good.
and then I think once again counseling,
Hmm.
having a Christian counselor walk
Yeah.
my wife and I through life has been great, and
Hmm.
helped in those areas to like have an outside perspective in on your life to look at things
Hmm.
has been great. And then just like we were talking about, just spending time with the Lord, getting back to
Come on.
the basics. And I in worship too, I can there's so many times I'll talk to Sheila and I'm like, I just feel like I need to lead worship at like a home group or just something. Like
Yeah.
I just need to go back to like my first love
Come
of
on.
just like I just want to lead worship. I
Come
don't
on, man.
care.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on a stage. I don't want there
Hmm.
to be lights and
Hmm.
amazing sound. I want to
Come
lead
on.
worship when like the conditions are not perfect,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like going back to those moments is always refreshing to me.
Yeah.
It always like pulls me back and reminds me like why I'm doing
Hmm.
what I'm doing,
Hmm.
why I'm called to this, what I love about it, and just that
Yeah.
I just love worshiping. I love helping others encounter the Lord, and
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully that helps.
No, that's powerful, and that's I think you said it beautifully. Just coming back to the heart of worship,
Yeah,
of yeah, what does it look when there are no lights, when there's no platform,
yeah,
and it's
and
just
sometimes I think in churches there needs to be, or there probably should be, like maybe a special night
hmm
once a month at your church where it's like a worship night, but maybe there's no sound, or maybe there's
hmm
just like one guitar, a guy on a guitar, a girl
hmm
on a guitar, or
yeah,
a piano, and you're just like, we're just coming here just to worship, and it's not about anything else.
hmm
And I think that can help burnout. That can help
yeah,
redirect like the focus
yeah,
of a worship team or local church to like,
hmm
okay, what is it about? And
yep.
Something
That's
like that's helpful.
that's great. No, that's it's adjusting value and worth
Yeah.
for not the destination, but our God, our
Yeah.
King, our
Yeah.
the one we're worshiping,
Right.
and
Oh,
that
totally.
it's that's oh, that's great. No, I love that. Thank you
Oh,
for that.
thank you.
We have some questions that have just come in. Um, one from Alyssa. If you could pick one of your songs, um, that question just disappeared. So I'm going to move into the next one. But
She just pulled it. She
yeah,
pulled her
yeah, she
question.
put
She's
it.
like, it's not a good one.
I'm going to go. Actually, we have a question from Brett. Um, and so Brett's question is, what is your advice on encouraging a severely disconnected congregation and team to worship?
Oh wow, Brett. Lord bless you, Brett. um, yeah. Okay. Let me read. Your advice: encourage a severely disconnected congregation to worship. Wow. That I think. I think if I was in that situation, which I've been, I haven't. I've. I don't know that I've been in a congregation that was my own congregation that was necessarily severely disconnected.
Mm,
Maybe disconnected though, maybe not too severely, but
yeah.
but I feel like in those situations I've just gone back to like the most simple thing I can think of, and just like what is even just the some of the most simple songs I can do to just
Mm,
connect on even a practical level,
yeah.
and not try to just go in full on like I think sometimes we try to go at those moments just and like counter like hit them back with like
Yeah.
a here's some spontaneous like just or or just whatever like the
Yeah.
most deep like I've gotta and it's like okay that's probably gonna just push people away even
Uh-huh.
more or scare them away or
Hmm.
you know so I think I would just come back to the most simple song the most what can we do I mean the
Come
angels are
on.
around the throne just singing holy holy holy
Exactly.
they're not singing like the number one CCLI song.
Yeah.
Um, but and I would just bring it back to the most simple things. And I don't know if I hope there's I don't know that there's one answer that's just gonna
Yeah.
help Brett, like and just like, hey, do this and this will work and this is
Yeah.
gonna turn everything around.
Yeah.
But I think it would just be like, how's my heart postured
Yeah.
towards this? And
Hmm.
like and also making sure that you don't become cynical towards them
Uh-huh.
and towards that whole situation into
Yeah.
it and it's not like a you guys don't get it that kind of thing
Yeah.
because that can totally it can get that way really easy and
Yeah.
I mean it's I've had that happen
Yeah.
where you're just like wow, they just do not
Hmm.
understand what is that
Yeah.
the minute it becomes that happens then you just might as well forget it because they're going to
Uh-huh.
pick up on that they can pick up when it's like a worship leader who's like you feel like you're being badgered into
Yeah.
worship you're just like
Uh-huh.
feel like you can
Yeah.
I've felt that before where you're
Hmm.
like, this guy or girl is mad at me for not going after, or maybe for not jumping around or running around and
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Hmm.
So it'd be like, how's my heart postured?
Yeah.
And is it just for them to just, I want them to encounter the Lord.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just, it
Hmm.
needs to happen in the most simple way
Yeah.
and then go from there.
That's good.
And, so I hope that helps, Brett.
Yeah. No,
Lord
that's
bless you, Brett.
yeah. That's Tasha said this one thing, and I think we'll finish on this. It was love the congregation, love
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
like love the people you're leading.
Yeah.
You'll only be able to lead them as much as you love them. So love them.
Yeah,
Think,
and they'll people know when
yeah,
you care about them
exactly.
as a
Yep.
leader.
Hmm.
They can feel it,
Yep.
and that I feel like translates even more than just like, am I picking the right songs
Yeah.
or is it
Hmm.
something they know?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I I feel like going on the we were talking about the tours I was on earlier this year. It was a whole other. It wasn't a Bethel worship night that
Yeah.
I was on, and Bethel worship nights they're amazing. They're not
Uh
like
huh.
really it's not like leading worship. We don't
Yeah.
really lead. I mean, we do lead worship, but you just start the song and everybody's like, and they just go for it. It's
Yeah.
a whole other group. We're spoiled in some
Yeah.
ways. It's amazing the culture that we get to be around all the
Hmm.
time. But these nights that I was on, they weren't necessarily like that as much. It was people
Yeah.
that were there more for a concert, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And but they weren't there as far as like just let's worship and let's go for it and
Hmm.
work, you know. But and I think the minute I want the nights that I felt I connected the most and
Mm,
that the Lord was able to connect the most with them were the nights where I just turned my heart towards them and was just like, I love these people. I
come
love
on.
the reason they're here. And
Yeah.
like, how can I give them a little bit of what they would love to have, like an entertaining kind of thing, but
Yeah.
also just like, how can I pull them in and build trust between them? Because the
Yeah.
more I would build this trust between them, then I realized like, oh, they actually would go with me in some places and
Hmm.
worship on
Wow.
these nights
Yeah.
that they wouldn't maybe normally do. And so I think it's some of that too. It's building trust with your church and your congregation,
Hmm.
and to them know that you aren't again like badgering them with like
Yeah.
the this, but you actually just want to all encounter the Lord together.
That's that's incredible. That's beautiful. I think you put that beautifully, man. Um, I think that's pretty much all the time we have for today.
Wow,
But
we have
man, dude,
talked this thing all the way
oh,
through.
we have.
Wow.
But you've been dropping the wisdom
Oh,
and just
thanks.
the you're such a well man. And so just thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for
Thanks for
sharing.
having me.
Oh, dude, it's an honor. It's an
And
honor
this
to
is
have you.
close to my house too. So
It
this
is.
is
It's just
perfect. This
all
is
the
right
way
down the
from
road.
Reading.
All the way from just a
Down,
mile down the
yeah,
road.
exactly. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming,
Thank
man.
you.
It's been an honor having you on Live Class. I'm pretty sure all our students have enjoyed and loved the wisdom and just the even the insight on just your life and how you've processed through
Yeah.
things. But thank you so much. We can't wait
Thank
to have
you.
you on next time.
I want to come on. Let's do it. We could
Let's
talk
do.
about the new album.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's lock that in. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into Live Class. Just to let you know, on January the 3rd, I'm going to say that properly, January the 3rd, we're going to be having a guest. She's an incredible singer. She hits those glory notes in the third heavens or somewhere up there.
Oh, is it
Her
Betty?
name is Bethany
Oh
Worley.
yeah.
So we have Bethany Worley on January 3rd. But until then, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We love you guys, and we'll see you then. All right.